Are you truly grounded in your acting? I want to cover a common physical tic that I see in actors that has been driving me nuts lately. And not actors that I've been taping at Get Taped, which is where I am right now, but final performances that I'm seeing on network television or streaming. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. We're about to celebrate 15 years of marriage. Okay, let's just get to it. The thing I just can't unsee lately on my television screen is what I'm doing right now. Sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it is egregious. This waddling or swaying back and forth or shifting of the weight from hip to hip incessantly. Now, I want to stop right here and give actors a warning. If you are using a phone or a DSLR or any camera in your home self-tape setup that is within arm's length of you, then this is going to be amplified. Any side-to-side motion or forward-to-back motion gets amplified when the lens is this close to your face. Now the camera is almost 8 feet away from me, which is our standard setup here at Get Taped. You can still notice this side-to-side motion. It's just not as amplified as it was when the lens was only 3 feet away from me. Also notice that forward and backward doesn't look too weird or over-exaggerated. Now, I did a video about this several years ago that I will link in the show notes below. And also there's another warning that comes with what I just showed you. If you back your camera up and you're using, let's say, a phone that has a zoom feature, great, you can get this look. But now your microphone, which is on your phone, is going to be 8 feet away from you. And if your reader's standing next to the phone, well, they're going to be 10 times louder than you. So you need something like an external mic, which is what I have hanging over me right here. Now you can download our course, Get Set Up, which is a self-guided course. That is also linked in the show notes below, so we won't get into it here. But the bottom line is, when we're dealing with physicality in your self-tapes, if your camera is only 3 feet away from you, then it's going to exaggerate all of your physicality. So just be careful. But back to the waddling. This syndrome that Brooke and I have started to notice more and more on our shows, it only seems to happen when the actor is talking. These same actors are good at standing still while listening, but then when it's their line, they start to move again. It's so weird, and why are they doing it? I mean, Brooke and I just watched a very recent episode of a doctor procedural that is on network television, and in one of the opening scenes there's two lead actors who are doctors. They're talking to each other in what is usually just a shot reverse shot setup, and once they got into that coverage, every single line of dialogue from each actor, they were waddling. They stayed still when they were listening, and then they moved while talking. It was so weird and almost infuriating because it was so distracting. Even worse is a very popular show on Netflix that's sort of an espionage drama. It's not The Recruit, hint, hint. And the lead actor, who's a very young actor, waddles incessantly in every single scene like he's got ants in his pants. And it was noticeable in season 1 a little bit, but it's like he ramped it up in season 2. Now that I think about it, the common thread, at least between these two examples, is the age of the actors in question. Very young. And it seems to me, the more I think about this, the more this is a syndrome with young actors. And to be fair, there is nothing wrong with having intensity and energy in your character. But when that energy is unfocused, now it becomes a problem. It betrays the fact that either the actor is A, nervous, or B, lacks a solid foundation and training. Now, with these actors who are lead actors in their respective television shows, it's not A. They're on set for months at a time, so nerves can't be the issue, which leaves B, a lack of training or a solid foundation of training, or C, laziness. Now, as I'm prone to do, I like to look at a problem like this from all angles and maybe find a justification for what these actors are doing. And there are some scenes where it might call for there to be a loose physicality in one or more actors because there might be that record scratch moment where it changes and suddenly becomes still. And now all the attention is drawn to what happens next. But that would imply this is happening intentionally. And I don't think it is in these shows with these young actors. Sorry. So the takeaway for us journeyman actors is that we must endeavor to become in tune with our bodies. I mean, if you blink a lot uncontrollably, then you should work on that. Not during your next audition, but between auditions. And same goes for waddling. If you can't stand perfectly still during an audition so that I can't tell the difference between you standing or sitting, then you're just not in control of your body. You're not in control of your instrument. You're only acting from the neck up, and this is a huge liability long term. Because when you get on set, there's only going to be 1,000 or more distractions that will further put you into your head. And if you don't have a solid foundation of training to fall back on to help keep you in the moment, well, then you're liable to fall apart on set. At the very least, you'll leave that experience wondering, what did I do? That didn't feel good. So if you're curious about where you are now, if your current physicality in your auditions comes across as natural, or if you are able to turn it off if necessary, then I invite you to take a script, maybe a past audition that you've had. Again, don't wait until it's prime time and it's an actual audition. Do this in your downtime between auditions and record yourself and try to stand perfectly still while being simultaneously off book. And if that creates a lot of internal noise in your head where you can't focus on the character, or you focus on the character and you realize that causes you to start moving, well, now you have something to work on. And hear me on this. I'm not saying that every character in every audition needs to be perfectly still during the duration. No, there are no always or nevers in this art form. So if you're auditioning for server number 3 who just comes in and says more coffee, there should be physicality. You shouldn't try to do that perfectly still. You should enter and then possibly exit. Because if you stood still the entire time, more coffee? That's very creepy, isn't it? So my point is, if you can't consciously turn on and off this physicality at will, then what are you going to do the next time you're on set and suddenly the director yells, "Matthew, stop waddling"? And like I said in last week's video, better to work on this now so you'll be ready rather than trying to get ready when it's already too late. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.